Hello, welcome to a bonus episode of the Always Be Comedy podcast. Tim, I'm going to say it. I know it's not for us to say. No, he can say it because he's talking about the guest. This is a vintage episode.
This is a great episode. It's with Alex Lowe, who you may know as the brains and the man behind Clinton Baptiste and Barry from Watford. And you know what? So well, as we discover, many, many, many absolutely gigantic, fascinating roles.
Now we must. I feel duty bound. We give credit to Peter Kay because it's a Clinton Baptiste, as Alex explains, is a character from Phoenix Nights, and Peter Kay very generously lets Alex use the character to tour and do podcasts and so on. So if it wasn't for Peter, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. But what happened was we had Alex. You may remember we had Alex on the regular podcast a few weeks, probably months now, but a few months ago. And as we finished the record, I spoke to Tim and I was like, oh, Tim, we never even, it's on me as well, but Tim, we never got to ask Alex about his frankly insane IMDb page where it lists all his credits. And so this is atonement. I'm very grateful that we got the opportunity. Thank you to Team Alex for setting this up. But then it then snowballs and becomes so much more than what we intended.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of borderline salacious stuff in this episode. It's really, really interesting. And yeah, there's stuff from back in like the early 90s where he's got amazing anecdotes. I think this is a banger.
So if you're listening to this, and you are, and you're online, maybe listen to it while get his IMDb page up.
Lovely, lovely.
This is nice, isn't it? Lovely interactive element. Yeah. But yeah, Alex Lowe, and it's Lowe, and Alex talks us through some of the incredible projects he's been associated with, including the movie My Week with Marilyn with Michelle Williams, and someone who we learn is quite the mentor to Alex, Kenneth Branagh. And so Alex takes us on this journey through his life and career, popping up in shows such as Brassic, we talk about that. Fireman Sam, we talk about that. And in, Tim, I think it was 1993. I mean, let's not spoil it. Sorry, it's me telling myself off here. Alex gets a role in... Tell what, Tim, shall I just say he meets Kenneth Branagh and it goes from there?
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Now, Alex is talking about, as Tim has already mentioned, one of the great comedy characters, Clinton Baptiste. Clinton is back on tour with Spectral Intercourse. So if you go on Clinton's website, I sound a million years old. I remember Des Lynam when the internet was quite new, and Des Lynam had to plug, I guess ITV would have had a football website. Yeah. And he said, God bless him. And you know what? You know, we all love Des, but Des said, computer number.
Oh, lovely. Very nice from Des.
You know, certain things that they're in your mind for, you know, I can't remember where I've left the car keys, but I can remember Des Lynam saying that. Yeah. ClintonBaptiste.com. Oh, it's a great website. Check out the podcast as well. There's a whole world of Clinton to get involved in. Barry from Watford, we will also mention that. But he's also doing some live stuff with Barry. But we are here today to talk about Clinton Baptiste and his Spectral Intercourse tour. If you're not familiar with the Clinton Baptiste character, Tim, he's a psychic, but we can say he's not a very good psychic.
He's not a very good psychic. He first popped up in Phoenix Nights with a sort of series stealing scene. It was, I think it's one of the most famous scenes from Phoenix Nights ever. I think it's fair to say.
That's one of my favourite ever shows. That's my favourite ever scene, the Clinton stuff.
Wow. It is remarkable. Even if you haven't seen Phoenix Nights, I reckon you've seen that scene or you've heard that scene. It's become so famous, the catchphrase bit.
And Alex reckons it's three. Does he say 3 minutes?
It says 3 minutes, and it's taking him to the London Palladium.
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. The iconic London Palladium. But if you've seen him in Phoenix Nights, you know all the lines. I'm getting the word. It's just it's really funny. I remember being with Diane Morgan at a gig, and we started talking about the Clinton character, and Diane was in Phoenix Nights,
Yes.
and she just started laughing at Alex's performance because it's so funny. Once you start to when you start remembering the lines, you just crack up. You can't help yourself. I'm getting the word. I mean, oh my god, Alex Lowe is so talented, and the fact that he's having this wonderful. As I say to him in the app, it's almost like he's just getting started in a way, thanks to all things Clinton. It's wonderful. He really deserves it. He's been doing this. He's been in the old showbiz game for I sound like Smashy Nicey for so unironically for so many years that Tim, it's impossible to not raise a metaphorical glass of Schlur to Alex and Clinton.
Oh God, absolutely. We couldn't be more delighted for him. We've known for a long time, and he's been brilliant for literally as long as I've been alive. And people are really, really getting on board with him these days, and it's brilliant to see.
Now, of course, Alex Lowe is doing a work in progress at Always Be Comedy. It's sold out, Tim. It's sold out within the blink of an eye. If we can add another thing, he's got the Palladium, so it might be tricky to add another one. But if he comes back for a set, if we do add another one, of course we will let you know, guys. Literally seconds ago, we've put on a show with Bridget Christie, Tuesday the 21st of October. It's £5. Don't repeat this, but basically Bridget is going to overhaul this show, and so needs a place in which to pull off said overhaul, and it's going to be with us. So tickets are just £5 to see the iconic Bridget Christie. But this will be, Tim, we can say that because it's fiver. It will be very work in progressy.
I imagine it will be. But she was doing some of the brand new stuff at a gig with us last week, and it's really great. You're gonna have a super time.
Oh, and it's all coming from the solar plexus, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. Bridget, she wants to talk about what's going on right now, and what's going on right now, there's a lot to get into. So she really. There's a lot to be discussed. Let's just say that.
You're in for a treat. For all this and much more, I mean, look at this. Thursday, the 23rd of October, Jin Hao Lee. Sorry, my diction wasn't very clear. I apologise. It was sloppy. Jin Hao Lee, Sarah Keyworth, and Elliot Steele, fellow Palace fan Elliot Steele. Thursday, the 23rd of October. For all these and much, much more, please visit alwaysbecomedy.com/tickets. I mean, look at this. Friday the 24th of October, Sam Nicoresti, Harriet Kemsley, Michael Odewale. Sweet Jesus. Alwaysbecomedy.com/tickets. Tim, also, there are tickets left this Wednesday. Josh Pugh, actual Josh Pugh, work in progress. Wednesday the 8th of October. Hopefully we'll see you at a show soon. May I just give a special shout out? Now, I'm 47 years old. I've been doing comedy for 15 years. I don't, Tim, it's impossible for me to not sound like a wanker. If you have a wanker klaxon in your head, it's about to go off. I'm not the sort of person that gets stopped in the street, as you can well imagine. My wife and I went to go see Oasis on Sunday, and I was stopped twice. Once by a podcast listener. The podcast listener, if you're listening, what a lovely moment. And my wife, who's the first person to be like, oh, forgive me, strength. But even she was like, what a shame that you couldn't carry on talking, because his mate was shouting him over. But we had a hug, and I was very, very grateful. So now please do get in touch, because I was as I say, I was very grateful. It was a lovely moment. And even Mrs. Gill was like, wow, holy smokes. And then, Tim, on the way home, we change at Victoria, get off the Victoria line, and another dude collared me, and that was from that. He comes to Always Be Comedy. So Thanks very much. And then I think it made my wife realise that maybe we haven't been wasting the last 15 years.
Thank God. Yeah, that's really lovely. Yeah, you were telling me all about that, and I was like, brilliant. That's really, I found it very, very touching, I must say.
May I just say that even Mrs. Gill, a couple of days later, apropos of nothing, brought it up as if to say, what was that about? Because she's never, not only has she never seen it, it's never really happened.
Yeah.
Put it this way, I've told this story before. I was once with Joe Wilkins. This is really where it's at, to bring myself back to planet Earth. I was with Joe Wilkinson at a gig, and a guy asked Joe for a selfie, and I was sat next to Joe eating, and then the guy, probably out of pity, just because I was there, said, "Could I have a selfie?" And instead of what I should have said was, "Yeah, of course, sure," I went, "Oh, thank you."
it's it's lovely. It's lovely
Dear
stuff.
God. But when you say something like that, that's come from, once you've said it, you're like, oh, well, oh God, you
Oh,
really meant that.
absolutely.
Where's that come from? Yeah, exactly, exactly. Now, a dude who, oh, I was about to say a dude who gets recognised everywhere he goes. No, because of the Clinton outfit, Alex says it happens at Wolverhampton Wanderers, Tim. He gets stopped there in the loveliest way possible. But no, but without, I suppose Tim, he's trickier to spot, I guess. He's right without the wig and the outfit.
Yeah, and also if you recognise him from Barry from Watford, he's literally wearing prosthetics.
Yeah.
So you're doing well to spot him, but look, he's a wonderful man.
Now, we all already love Alex Lowe. By the end of this episode, you know what, guys? As the episode finishes, I suspect one or two of you will be doing what you'll be giving it a little round, even if you're on a busy train, giving Alex a little round of it. If you like when a cricketer, scores a ton or some sort of landmark, and they sometimes form like a guard of honour. It'd be like that. Alex Lowe on fire, wonderful. Here he is, the maestro, Alex Lowe. Alex Lowe, thank you very much for coming on the pod. This is for the Friday bonus pod. Basically, what happened, and I am blowing smoke here. You were such an incredible guest. You were one of those perfect guests that when the episode finished, I reached out to Tim and I said, we didn't even ask him about bada bada bada. And so this is thank you to the universe. We get this second opportunity. Obviously, we have to kick off with Clinton. Basically, what I wanted to talk about is your IMDb page. I think even Meryl Streep would give it a round of applause. It is sensational. But we'll start with Clinton because obviously there is the tour. Please talk us through Spectral Intercourse.
I'm great to be here. First of all, thank you. Very quickly, just to go back on that. Yes, my IMDb is quite long, but I do tap up in things for one episode or a few lines. So I wouldn't want anyone to think this endless drama series. But it's true, I've been a day player in lots and lots of different things. Spectral Intercourse is my new tour as Clinton Baptiste, which is a character I played in Peter Kay's Phoenix Night 25 years ago, and then again 10 years ago at Manchester Arena. It's my fifth UK and Ireland tour. It's selling, thank God, it's selling like hotcakes. We've nearly filled the London Palladium. We've got 5 months to go, unbelievably. So that, which is great, but it I haven't actually finished writing the thing. So while it's not written, I can't really enjoy that. I'm writing it with a guy called Brendan O'Hay, who wrote that recent book which Judi Dench brought out about acting Shakespeare and her memories of being an actor over many years. And he is sensational. And I don't know whether you've ever done this before, where I thought I was the funny one and he's the director who's shaping the material. But we sit and have done for months and months and months on end, almost daily on Zoom, going, what about this joke? What about this idea? And he is spectacularly funny. And I sit there thinking, why didn't I think of that? This is supposed to be my job, and then I'll go, yeah, and I'll try and come up with something. I go, well, the way you said it was better. So, I guess that's a lesson in not being too precious and just doing what is going to be right for the show. But it's amazing because when I first started working with him, he was just the director. And over the last 2, 3 shows, As I say, we built up this co-writing partnership, and he's superb.
Amazing. I mean, was there any part of you when you're watching Phoenix Nights when it first comes out? Was there any part of you that thought this character's got more in the tank? Because I can't think of anything else in the history of television where this sort of thing has happened. I mean, it's just extraordinary.
Well, that's very kind of you to say so. I did think it was a really hilarious script, and about the same time, or just before, I went up for The Office. I might have told you this last time,
No,
but which was also the great rival thing. I think I was known as a comedy actor at the time, and Rachel Freck, the casting director, had said to someone, I found this out sometime later, it's a very distinct style, The Office, that docudrama, mockumentary. Even Alex Lowe couldn't do it, which was galling. And I thought, why couldn't I do it? And I went up for Mackenzie's part, Gareth.
Wow.
And so to be in sort of the rival show, it was a bit like Blur and Oasis, wasn't it? It was seen as which of these do you like? There was the southern sort of office, and there was the northern, Phoenix Nights. So I did think it was really funny, and I did ask Peter at the time, could I do this as a character on the stand-up circuit? To which he seemingly didn't seem too keen on the idea, so I never pursued it until 10 years ago when I asked him again, and he said fine. So maybe I should have persisted 25 years, but for some reason he said fine this last time.
and that's huge credit to Peter. I mean, that's
Definitely, yeah.
what a wonderful gift. And Clinton, the character, means a great deal to a lot of people because not just through the live shows, but the podcast has been that surely has been an opportunity to add more flesh to the bones of this fantastic character.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I was only in Phoenix Nights for what, 3 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's a chance to, yeah, Clinton's got a sister now, and he has an assistant on the podcast. And then, to be honest, the live shows are nothing to do with the podcast. They're very separate things. So, my director's never even heard the podcast. But I think it's useful as an actor, without being too pretentious, that you've got this sort of history sort of at the back
Yeah.
of your mind. Um, what I will say is I cheat with the high-pitched voice that Clinton has, which I never had on Phoenix Nights. But it's amazing what you'll do to get a laugh if you don't have a particularly funny line up your sleeve. Yeah.
How often do you get, you walk, you're pushing the trolley around Asda, I don't know. How often do you get, I'm getting the word?
Well, not that often because I don't have the blonde wig and I sound like I am a bloke from Pinner rather than Bolton. Um, but I do occasionally go to football. I mean, quite often when I go to football matches, and I'm a season ticket holder at Wolves. For some reason, in Wolverhampton in the Midlands, it's a massive hit. I get stopped, and it's the most fantastic delight to be with my son, and people want to sort of have a selfie and what have you. I think increasingly people know it's me, which is gratifying because, touch wood, 9 times out of 10, everyone's very supportive, and I'd long may that continue. I'd hate to get on people's nerves so that you're out in the street like Dirty Den or Nasty Nick or something. There's a topic of one, Nasty Nick from 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Someone that people hate and they're looking in your shopping basket or calling you a twat or whatever.
That does happen, doesn't it? Where the public can't differentiate between the soap villain and the, just actor trying to live his life.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I've heard that many times from people.
I think Brian Capron had it when he was a
Yes,
serial killer on Corrie.
yeah.
And he played that like a panto villain. I mean, he was so brilliant.
I know two people who have played really horrible paedophiles. My friend Willie Geraghty,
Yeah.
he played something. I can't remember what it was called. Oh God, I had the name. It was a drama probably 20 years ago, and he was getting spotted in the street and people being really nasty to him. And the other one is my friend Mark Stobart, who played, wait for it, the Yorkshire Ripper. And
Oh
I
my
was saying
God.
to him, my God, do you
What
really want to do that?
what in the David Peace adaptation,
That one quite recently, yeah.
the 1984, sorry, the Red Riding trilogy.
It could be that, but I know it was within the last, say, 3 years, so it's probably that one. Um, the other thing I always think is that I'm probably getting too old for it now, but I could pass as Hitler. I honestly think if you look at pictures of Hitler, I've got the same nose. If I just had that, whether one would want to play it, but and there must be an agency for actors who can play Hitler.
That's a tricky audition to turn up to. Sat on the tube with the
Well,
practicing your lines.
yeah, turning up in the Freddie Starr shorts with a big swastika on it.
That
Just
was,
standing up and down.
I mean, that was the height of entertainment in the 80s. Have you ever seen the famous Des O'Connor? Where, hang on,
Not I know.
yeah, Stan Boardman. Stan Boardman tells the Fokker story, and so yeah,
There's
Fokker,
going.
and Desi's doing that, the Fokkers, and then poor Des, he's like, this can't get any worse, and he goes, please welcome our next guest, Freddie Starr, and I think it's when Freddie Starr comes on dressed as Hitler, and then the camera cuts to Des O'Connor. To his eternal credit, Des O'Connor does that great thing of, in my mind's eye, sort of like hand on his chin, and he's looking up to God as if to say, come on, please.
I will tell you something now, and I don't want to get into trouble for this, but this is how things have changed in TV and TV comedy, particularly. I did a bit in the remake of Open All Hours, Still Open All Hours. Probably, I don't know what it was, 7 years ago, something like that. And I got recently, oh God, I don't know, maybe I've signed something, so I won't say anything. But I recently got called in to do one of those talking heads things about the original Open All Hours and the remake. Now, to be honest, my favourite was the original. I love
Yeah,
Ronnie Barker. Probably last time I was talking to you, my absolute comedy hero, Ronnie Barker. And in 1981, my nan, my grandmother, took me and my brother to Television Centre to queue up at the Rotunda to go into the studio and watch a recording of Open All Hours. Thrilling, for someone like me who wanted to be an actor and wanted to be in TV, see those cameras, to see it was Felix Boness doing the warm up,
yeah.
remember from Heidi High. It was so thrilling, and these guys were such brilliant comedy actors, and it would zip along, even all the detail of Arkwright's shot, and it was so thrilling. Anyway, when I went in to do this chat the other day, I was talking about going to see the original, and they were very interested. And they said, "Oh, well, can you remember which episode it was?" I said, "Well, not really." I said, "All I remember was a guy came in with a crash helmet in the first half, and they went, 'Come and have a look at this.' Went to the laptop, and they went, well, they recorded them a week in advance. So the London Marathon would have been this. Was it this episode?" And they put this episode up. I went, "That's the one I saw in 1981." And the guy comes in, and wait for this, bear with this. I'm sorry if this is going to upset anyone. The guy comes in with this crash helmet, and Arkwright goes, "Get Granville, get his visor off, get his visor off." "I can't, he's stuck, Cartwright. Oh, you get it, oh, blimey." And the helmet's there, because his visor's off. "What can you see?" says Arkwright. And he goes, "Oh, I can't see, he's all black." "Get him out, get him out."
Oh
And with
my
that, all stood around the laptop
God.
going, "Wasn't it lovely?" Everyone went, "Okay, right. Well, let's get on with what we've got to do." And I thought, geez, I mean, you forget that was happening.
And
That
that's not long ago.
It's not long ago. This is what was this? 1983 or something like that. 82, 81. It was 81. That's not. I don't. For an old man like me, that seems no time ago. I mean, there were ethnic minorities standing around, helping on this, working on this talking head show, and we all had to go, right. Should we get on with what we're doing? You forget.
My goodness.
That is just,
Yeah.
I mean, that is shocking, isn't it?
It was. I was appalled, then I had to go and sit down and go, "Wasn't it lovely in the old days?"
So I take it.
About Open All Hours.
So what do they do? What do they do in this show then? Will they acknowledge that some of it is aged atrociously?
I think I probably said that, but I don't think they'll show a clip of that particular racist moment. But yeah, I mean, yeah, so things change. I mean, it's extraordinary what the sort of thing that used to go on. And but there again, when people say, I mean, you must have had this, James, when people talk about, oh, you can't say nothing nowadays. I think most people have a modicum of sense. And I hope they do because, with what I do as Clinton, as we probably discussed this last time, you have to set something up to knock it down again. And throughout my writing with Brendan, I'm forever going, oh God, can I say that? And you go, the character I'm playing is an idiot. That's the joke. And if people can I quickly just tell you something? I don't know whether we discussed this before. To stop me if I told you this before, but the danger is, I guess, Simon Day. Did I tell you about his character, Tommy Cockles?
No, I remember Tommy
He
Cockles.
explained this to me. This was a few years ago. He said, with Tommy Cockles, very similar to my Barry from Watford character. He's sort of old school,
Yeah.
reminiscing about the old days in a very cod sort of parody of what old people talk about in the old days. And he had this gag, and I just thought it's such a lovely, lovely, tiny moment. And it's Tommy Cockles going, and I was on the train, I was just going past all the rows of houses, all the back gardens, all those suburban houses, all owned by foreigners who were all born here. And I thought, that is a lovely bit of colour,
Yeah.
just because that's what older people say.
Yeah.
And he says, like that, I've lost an audience. Young people go, ah, oh, hold on. What do we think? Are we happy with that? What do we think of that? And you go, look, that's the character. So I've just disproved my point because there are some stupid people. But he said, I just don't bother with that. And I think, God, what a shame that you would lose that lovely idiosyncrasy of that character in a very subtle moment. Just because people might think you're a racist or this ludicrous character is racist. It's just a thing people say, isn't it?
Well, Harry Hill said to me many years ago, you always ask yourself, what is the intent, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And surely the intent with that joke is Tommy Cockles is the butt of the joke. He's the punchline.
That's true, except I don't even think it's that serious. I just think it's one of those things people say in a rather clumsy way. God, we all do it, and we're kind of fancy metropolitan types.
I mean,
Something.
I very much think that you very much can say whatever you want these days, and the place to do it is your comedy night, and that's where you find out if something gets a laugh or not. And I think that's why certain comedians that don't do it, I know I would say this because we're always be comedy, but I think certain comedians get themselves into trouble or hot water because they've not run it through in the clubs, and the first time they're saying it out loud might be in the theatres and the stadiums.
Good.
I think
Interesting.
I think the comedy nights are the canary part of their role, the canary down the coal mine, if you like.
Right. Well, that's why I need to come to your place and try out my stuff again, because that is my terror. I don't have a huge amount of time to try out this stuff. And I mean, it always gives me a shudder when I think of Stuart Lee, week in, week out, is at the Leicester Square Theatre trying stuff.
Well, Stu did always be comedy, Tim, 20 times to prep for this tour.
So I'd before say so, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe more. Probably more if you go back to the shows with Eldon that he did, way back.
Yeah. But in a way, those Leicester Square Theatre dates, they're sort of...
I think they're the tour.
They're his previews, in my opinion, before he goes on tour and goes off to Ali Pally and the like.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. Now, Alex, I'm glad you mentioned Open All Hours because I've got your IMDb here. I mean, as I say, it would make a glass eye weep. The one I'm desperate to ask you about, and I know we chatted about it the other day as pals on the phone, but Much Ado About Nothing. I mean, surely I'm going to say it, in the history of motion pictures, this is one of the casts. Right, check this. Kenneth Branagh, Michael Keaton, Keanu Reeves, Emma Thompson, Denzel Washington. Please talk us through it, how it came about and what that experience was like.
And Richard Briers.
And Briers, the great Briers.
Well, I used to be Kenneth Branagh's stand-in. I was in Another Country, the play, when I was 14 in the West End, which then became the film. And I'd sort of always kept in touch with Ken. And when I finished my terrible degree in drama from Leicester Polytechnic, where incredibly there are three BAFTA winners from Leicester Poly in my day. I mean, extraordinary. None of them me. None of
Who were
them.
the three?
Joe Scanlon was our
Yes.
lecturer. Joe Scanlon, who you will know from what's it called, No Offence, and that hospital one with Joe Brand and Vicky Pepperdine
Oh yeah.
called Getting On,
Oh, well remembered.
and Mar Larkin. And anyway, she and the anyway various comedies. She
Yeah,
was
yeah.
our lecturer, and she was about 2 years older than us. When I think about it now, when you're a student like that, you kind of go, "Oh, anyone who's like in their early 20s seems ancient." So Joe Scanlon has a BAFTA. My best pal Justin Chadwick, the film director, has a BAFTA for Bleak House. And my friend Nick Murphy has a BAFTA for Occupation with Jimmy Nesbitt. And we had absolutely no resources. These are in the days you youngsters won't know. We didn't have to pay for our education, but all it meant was it was totally underfunded. We had nothing. And we got there, and I think we were slightly hoodwinked into thinking it was an actor's training. And it wasn't. It was some mad view of what is performance art and some abstract study of what is performance. Absolutely useless to anyone. But it was always billed as a very practical course, and we wanted to be actors. Anyway, cut long story short, at the end of this, we went with the National Student Theatre Company. Ken Branagh was at Edinburgh. And I got in touch with him and said, look, could you come and see us in this production of The Hypochondriac, Moliere's Hypochondriac? He came along, said, oh, how are you acting? Not seen him for years. And he said, do you want to join the company? Did I tell you this? He said, do you want to join our company? I said, yes. And he said, right, okay. What's your immediate problem? I said, well, I want an agent. Okay, I'm doing Dead Again, filming in LA. This is my number. Reverse the charges. I'll sort you out an agent. In April next year, come and work with Renaissance. We're doing a tour of Uncle Vanya. You can understudy. I'll get you a small part. And suddenly, in one swoop, I got this terrible degree to starting with Kenneth Branagh's company. And I started being his stand-in for films. And he'd give me a part. So I was in Peter's Friends as, his stand-in. And then I played this character, Paul, who has it off with Emma Thompson. And then later on that summer, I went to Italy, where I lived with Brian Blessed for the whole filming. It's unbelievable. And knocked around with all these people, Keanu and Denzel is how you say his name. And all these kind of, and Kate Beckinsale became a friend of mine. And it was just, I can't tell you how thrilling that was to be on someone like me who just sort of obsessed with wanting to be an actor and I was in 4 feature films in my first 4 years of being an actor.
Oh my God!
And I was there in this lovely place. You had to hire cars to drive around. I had an Italian girlfriend. I used to knock around with Kate, who was kind of a real kind of spoilt brat on a summer job from Oxford. And it was unbelievable. Never been quite as good since, I have to say.
But to be fair, who's going to have it as good? It's like the old Joseph Heller story. You'll never write another Catch-22, and he goes, yeah, well, who will?
Yeah.
Something like that, Alex. You've just got to, and it sounds like you do. You've just got to appreciate that for the very special moment that it must have been.
Oh, great. When I see that film, it looks like a holiday video now. You kind of go, God, I remember what I was doing on that day. And in actual fact, last week I went to Tottenham Hotspur with Ken Branagh to his executive suite, the fine wines, the food, the heated seats. I'd barely seen him for 30 years. And it was really nice to reconnect the other week. For a long time, it's hard to overstate this. This sounds ridiculous, but I would dream about him. I would dream, not in a sexual way, but he was absolutely my ticket to being an actor. I had this useless degree from Leicester Polytechnic. I wasn't really trained as an actor, although I'd done, work as a kid. And this guy was literally going, right, okay, I can sort this out for you, that out for you. I'm going to want you in my films. I want you as my stand-in. And it was like, it was just too good to be true. And then, of course, like everything in showbiz, suddenly nothing happened. And one minute, I did a film not long after that called Haunted, with Kate Beckinsale and Aidan Quinn. We had a massive, do in Leicester Square where Princess Diana came and met us all. And it was so fantastic. And then suddenly, no one was interested. Absolutely no career progression at all. It stopped dead. And you kind of think, it's no wonder people get giddy and then they go off the rails because it's
Oh, and there's no duty of care in this industry either.
no, which is, really, and I know this sounds, maybe it sounds a bit silly, but that's why I'm so glad from my mid 50s or early 50s, I started doing stand-up or cabaret, comedy character.
What's become a recurring theme with these chats is it's the individual making it happen themselves. Back in the day, an actor, comedian, they would wait for the phone to ring.
Oh, waste of time.
These days, in a way, you're not going to use it to make a phone call, but you might use it to make that reel that might sell out the tour,
And it's such a waste of a life, that, and I know that. One day I'm going to get all my old diary entries out, whereas now everyone goes on Facebook or whatever it is to empty themselves of their
Yes.
self-hate or whatever.
Yeah.
Back in the day, 30 years ago, I kept a sort of journal, and it was just a sort of therapy, just write down, God, I'm so miserable. I was up for this part. I narrowly got this. I was promised this part, and now they don't want me. Endless soul searching. And it is a waste. If you got to 50 and you went, oh, I missed the whole thing. I didn't
Yeah.
get married. I didn't get a job. I was waiting. It's pointless. You've got to. I always think, when people go, it's very brave to go and be a performer. It's not. I think it's really brave if one day you wake up and go, do you know what? For all the people who praised me and for all the high hopes I had, I'm going to wake up, smell the coffee, and do something else. And I've been very close to that a number of times in my life.
Well, look, it's all worked out great, and you made it happen. Clinton, yet another tour. Mate, it's fucking brilliant. Now you are talking to quite the Denzel superfan. I was lucky enough to interview him for a magazine. Love the bones of that man. What is he like on a day-to-day basis when you're shooting that movie? Are you chatting with Denzel? Good result for United the other night. What's that like?
He was really, really quite normal in that way. I suppose he was a very well-known actor, but he wasn't the superstar he is now,
Yeah.
possibly.
No, the star was in the ascendancy then, wasn't it?
That's right. And he had not long done a film where I thought he played an RAF man or something. He played a small British film. But I mean, I've got photos of us sort of in the cafe down in the town in Italy, and he's just looking around. Everyone's just eating something. But I will say, as not many people know, there was a big bust up between him and Ken Branagh one night when he was late for there's the masked ball in Much Ado, and he was late to a dance rehearsal. And a British film always gets done on a wing and a prayer. At least it did in those days. And I think Ken was so insulted that he'd been late, and we're all, there's no time, there's no luxury of time to mess around. And I think Ken was a bit pissed off about that. But I mean, I also remember, this is all really scurrilous stuff. I might have said this before. Kate Beckinsale, as I say, it was her summer job. And I always remember her. In those days, there was always smoking, not smoking. I think I used to have a little roll up in those days. And I always remember him saying, kid, you smoke too much. And she went, oh, what are you, my fucking dad? And he went, whoa, 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 whoa. And she went, oh, like that. And he went, oh, yeah. She went, yeah, you fucking wish. And I just remember thinking, I'm in the wrong world. This sort of lower middle class thing, the way I was brought up. You go there and don't you ruffle any feathers. Ken has asked you to learn the lines. You know the line. Don't you get on anyone's nerves. And suddenly there's like Kate Beckinsale, fuck this and fuck that. And I thought, maybe I've got this wrong. Maybe the thing is not to be doffing your cap and going around going, I don't want to get on anyone's nerves. And I think I remember at the time being very just shy and not wanting to get on. I kept thinking I'm going to get the next. So many people would have loved that job. If I fuck up, I don't want to be on the next plane home. It was all about you know how you're brought up. There's a certain British thing about, don't you? You're very lucky, young man. There's plenty of cleaning jobs you could be doing it with, in London. So I was minding my P's and Q's, but I just remember that. But I remember that with her and Denzel. He was just sort of she was no respecter of his status.
But I mean, that's just two people butting heads. What I mean by that is that sort of thing happens every day. You know, like say football training, Premier League club, two players, they're going to have a row over a. What are you doing? You don't do a slide tackle in training. Surely flare-ups like that are commonplace, or are
Oh,
they not?
I mean, it's
no,
happening in branches of Tesco's. Like, it's happening at all
well,
workplaces, surely.
no, but the difference is if you've knocked around with any lovey
It's
actors,
true. Yeah.
that is fairly rare. It's all, darling. Oh, were you late, darling? Did you not turn up? You smoke too much. Oh, darling, I know. I am naughty. I must stop. Going on the attack was I just thought,
Oh, I see. So the attack is rare. I think Tim and I live in Penge. Timo's west of London. I see stuff like this in Aldi every now and then, you know. But in the what the cosseted world of lovies, you just don't see the attacks like that.
I don't think so. Particularly, I think what I was trying to say was she was like 17 at the time. I was 24 and I was thinking, you're one of the youngest people here. Don't get on anyone's nerves. Know your place. And she turned up, she's like, I don't give a fuck.
The
That's
thing
the
is, I am you, and I imagine a lot of our listeners are the same as you. We've all been raised.
Yeah. It's a
Just
very British
if
thing.
you, hey, I tell you what, you know, if you keep your head down, do a good job, then there might be another job.
That's it.
Whereas, but having said that, almost paradoxically, I love Kate Beckinsale more for this story, and I love Denzel more because Denzel's trying to look out for her. I mean, everything about this, mate.
Well,
I've got all my chips at the casino. I'm all in on this.
no, to be fair to Kate, if she ever hears this, she might have a different version of events. All I'm saying is, I mean, I'm just using that as an example. Robert Sean Leonard,
Yeah.
who was in Dead Poets Society and a number of other things, he was also similarly confident. And he was like a year younger than me. And he was very chatty and cracking the jokes and all that. And I just, mind you, he was playing he had quite a nice part in it. I played the messenger who comes on the start and says Don Pedro's approached, and I arrest Keanu Reeves at the end. And the rest of the time, I was standing in for Ken. So maybe it's a question of status, but he was similarly very confident.
Is this because the three of us didn't go to private school?
That is partly the case. Don't get me started on that.
No, I know that's a
My
bugbear.
chippiest thing ever. That is my chippiest thing. I am. Well, let's not get into it because I can talk.
Now, I once interviewed Jack Black, and I said to Jack Black, if we could pick a random thing from your career that no one talks about enough, but you love it, what would it be? And like that, Polka King, straight away, what would yours be? What's the thing on the IMDb, the back catalogue, where you think, God, I stand by that. I wish more people had seen it.
Okay, yeah, this is a really controversial one, but if anyone remembers it, it's not that controversial. Maybe no one remembers it. But when I did Cheap, Cheap, Cheap with Noel Edmonds for Channel 4 in 2017, we did 31-hour episodes, and it was slagged off so awfully. To this day, I can't forgive Mark Gatiss for really having a pop at it. I think I wouldn't do that knowing there's fellow professionals in it. And I just thought it was a bit unnecessary. But it was terrible when it started. Over 30 episodes, it got better and better and better. So that by the end, I think it really had some funny moments. And it was just a thrill for me to be in there with Noel. And it was all semi-improvised, but it was improvised. And I think, although it's easy to knock a Noel Edmonds game show, I think if we'd had another series, it would have just run and run and run. And I played Barry from Watford, and it was just a joy. It was like going into, contestants. The recording went on for hours and hours and hours. It felt like a feast of a show, but it just didn't quite do it.
Matt Ford would call that a blue on blue crime. right? Gatiss shouldn't be. You shouldn't be going after.
I mean, yeah, and he said something about, I don't know what it was, alleged comedians or something like that. I might have got him wrong there, so don't quote me. But I just thought you don't have to stick the boot in, knowing that there was me, Kyle, uh, Gabby Thingy, various actors in it who were
Yeah.
clearly trying their hardest. I just wouldn't do it. I don't go on and slag other people off. I just it was easy pickings, and maybe he wanted to have a pop at Noel Edmonds, but that I went off him after that.
Imagine if someone had come out and said that Sherlock started off well but ended up absolutely fucking dog shit. Imagine how he'd have reacted to that.
Yeah.
Not that they're my private thoughts or anything
Hey,
like
what
that.
were you going to say?
It's a strong cast. It's obviously Big Noel, then you, Kyle,
Yeah.
Emily Lloyd-Sarney from Egg, and Gabby Best. Like really,
Jesus.
really very funny people.
And plus, we had people like Kevin Day, who by the end were coming in and churning out material. I had Fraser Steele wrote, a lot of stuff for me. It wasn't as bad as people think. It's easy. It's such a British thing that jump on the bandwagon. Oh, what a load of shit. It's easy to do that. I don't think people really saw it. Didn't give it the time of day.
Why do we do that? Why do we? This thing of, some people. It feels like a uniquely British thing where they almost get a rush. Oh, something shit, or some people say about things that haven't even come out yet. Oh, it's gonna be crap. What's that about?
Very British thing. Very, very British thing. And it's really exhausting that. People they loved it. I mean, I could chapter and verse about that stuff, and then we do the self-effacing thing, going over to the States and plugging our stuff. I've heard of that many times, and the executive going, okay, so you got great reviews for this. And the Brits go, yeah, shit. And they go, what? Yeah. Well, yeah, And they go, well, it wasn't any good, or why is that inbuilt, stupid British Pavlovian response where you have to reduce everything? If, we don't like Kenneth Branagh, for example, he's sort of seen as a lovey or something, right? We don't like people who are excellent at things. We don't like experts, but we can cope with Eddie the Eagle Edwards.
Mate,
Cope with people who are a little bit shit because they're not trying to get above their station. And it's to do with class, and it's to do with people not being respected.
in the US, they champion their champions.
That's it.
Our champions don't get the credit they deserve. But look, God bless him and all that. Paul Gascoigne is almost like the perfect British hero because he didn't fulfill his potential.
Oh, that's right.
And so we love him. Oh, good old Gazza. Meanwhile, there's people winning world titles left, right, and centre. Not for us. Bit full of themselves. We need to. I think it was David Brailsford when he got that cycling job. I think it was like the biggest thing the biggest hurdle he had to overcome was this mindset of loving underachievement and all of that.
This is just to get back to the public school thing again. I might even have said this to you. They don't do that.
No.
They do not do that. I'm reliably informed that they do something called oiling. This is what I heard. It's called oiling in public schools, where you do a sort of I'm very interested in what you've got to say. Yeah. You're very much the centre of. Yeah, I'm fascinated with that. I'm very interested in that, and it's all about what they can get out of it. They help each other. Good luck to them. I now don't have any qualms about helping my contemporaries because I don't have any power. But I've seen it. I've worked at the BBC lots. I've worked in British theatre. I've seen a lot of public. I worked in film. I've worked in BBC radio. I've seen lots of public school people, and they help each other out. And I can name lots of people I know who do not hide their light under a bushel. Far from it. And it's a very lower middle class British thing to do. And similarly, what we're talking about, we like to knock anyone who dares stick their head above the parapet. Who's he think he is? Well, who? Noel Edmonds? What? Britain's most successful light entertainment presenter and producer. That's who he thinks he is. He had to go to New Zealand. Yeah, because of people like you.
Yeah. Mate, half a century, skin in the game. More than half a century, what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
Now, let's get that light out of the bushel. And there's no, but one of your big hits is Joe Sparks on Fireman Sam. And that, now, from an acting point of view, that's a great regular paycheck, surely.
Well, you say that it's very badly paid, but we won't go into that. But I'm
Is it
waiting to hear.
really?
Yeah, yeah, it's not what you think it is. But I'm giving away all the secrets. I'm probably not allowed to say that either. But the thank you so much to Hit Entertainment. I just want to say I'm delighted with the paycheck. But I don't know whether I mean, I keep asking, is that coming back for another series? I've done about 20 series or something. I don't know. So I'd like to do more of that, but I've not heard anything for a while. So maybe Joe Sparks has been shot. Guided fire.
What's the Brassic experience like? Because I mean,
Great
that's
fun.
yeah. I mean
Yeah,
that
I
Tim and I
turned
were.
up there.
Sorry, go on. Sorry, Alex.
No, please, you were talking what?
No, Tim and I were just saying the other night that that Joseph Gilgan is such a talent, and again, credit to Sky for giving him the platform to be brilliant.
Absolutely. It's really sort of gritty and real, isn't it? In a way that Channel 4 used to do that sort of thing, much realer.
Yeah.
But I turned up there and I think, it's honestly that character, Tinsley Blanchett, is a nod to Clinton Baptiste. And I think when I turned up, I thought, God, why have they got me? And why do you want me to play virtually Clinton just with dark hair? And I think it's deliberate because I think they did it with another character. I'm not sure who it is, but it's a nod to other TV shows. But it was lovely turning up there, and they seemed to know the character. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that.
Is it deliberate where you go? You use this phrase "day player." Is that a deliberate decision, or if the role in insert name of new ITV drama, it was going to run for 7 seasons, you were part of the regular cast? Is it deliberately go for these day players, or would you gladly take that big role?
Glad I would gladly take the big role. I've been up for tons and tons and tons and tons of things over the years, really big things, to be regulars and things, and well, it's rarely happened. I've done series of things, but I've never really done a long running drama series, and I would have loved to have done. But that's what's lovely about now. I've sort of given up on that a little bit. I just think that's low. I'm not going to think about it anymore. I'm very happy doing what I'm doing.
Tell you what though, what's the line in the Alanis Morissette song, which it's a similar sort of energy of when the pupil is ready, the master appears. What sort of like when you're not expecting it, Alex. That's when you get that tap on the shoulder. Olivia Colman wants me to be what? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's because you give off. I've spent many, many years as a
Yeah.
young actor being desperate for money, had young children. Oh my God, I've got to get this job. And they can smell it on you. It's imperceptible to you. You
I
come in, you're just being enthusiastic, and they go, God, all right, desperate.
how close were you to the Gareth role in the office?
I think I was fairly close. But then I went in for extras. And I think he said, "Oh yeah, you weren't quite right for that." I went in for another role in extras. I phoned up, Ricky, who I used to know in those days, and said, "Oh, thanks for seeing me." He said, "I think you're much better for this part," and I didn't get that either. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I shudder when I think of some of the wonderful opportunities I've had, and they just haven't happened, or they nearly happened. But that's the name of the game. But I'm blissfully happy, so it doesn't.
But I can ask you this as a friend, and I think you'll take it in the spirit it's intended. I can ask this question now because we are sitting here championing the fact that there is another UK Clinton tour. What position to be in. What roles are we talking? What were the ones where you're like, son of a gun, that was close?
Um, God, I don't know. I think there was a couple of film roles that nearly happened. Gareth in the Office nearly happened. There was another one for, oh God, what was that called? Now I always get confused. It was either The Inbetweeners or it was Angels, was it called? No, what was that? Oh God, the Channel 4, Skins. It was either Skins or The Inbetweeners. But I remember getting a phone call about that, and I was doing Claire and the Community for Radio 4. And I thought, well, I can't get out Claire and Community. It was a long running thing for me. And so I just said, I won't do it. just recently I got a. I was asked if I wanted to audition for Slow Horses,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and this, and I just went, no, I don't, because I've got this tour coming up. I'm literally not going to
Fair
have.
enough.
And I thought that was a real watershed moment for me. And it's quite liberating to go, I haven't got time. What's the point in pretending? And let's be fair, James, I've never been very good in auditions. I don't know what it is. I think I come across exactly what I am, a nice middle class bloke from Pinner. And that's why it's taken quite extreme characters to give me any work. I don't know what it is. I'm not Eddie Marsan. I'm not a sort of working class bloke. I'm not Cumberbunch, whatever his name is. I'm not a posh bloke. I am a slightly underwhelming bloke from Pinner. And of course, they can have whoever they want. I was naive enough to think that you pour yourself like a sort of, you're a pawn and you pour yourself into this thing and you play this thing. It's not. You are, if they want a bank robber in a TV show, it's not you doing your impression. Yeah, I've got a shooter. They want the real thing, isn't it? Yeah, put your hands up. It's a right pea super out there today. I'm going to be off on my toes. I'll be having a pint of bitter before you know it. You know what I mean? I don't want to see that.
We're going to send that clip to Apple TV and try and get you back in. It's not too late.
Send it to.
It's a stick up.
This is a stick up. Yeah, don't try none of your funny business. You know what I mean? They go on that.
Pair of tights over your head. That's such an 80s thing, that, isn't it? The tights over the head for a bank robber.
Yeah. But I mean, I just think that's the thing. That I don't look like anything particularly, and I don't think I came across particularly. I mean, there were times when I was really desperate that it became a counselling session, me going into an audition. No one wants to hear that. This bloke is desperate. Oh, God. I mean, I always remember, I might have told you this, Paul Putner once.
Oh, legend.
Brilliant.
Legend Paul Putner is a great mate of mine. He said he went to a party and Keith Allen was there. For any younger viewers, that is Lily Allen's dad. And Keith Allen said, hello, Paul, how are you? And Paul did that thing that all actors do. And I imagine comedians do to a certain extent. Oh, well, not too bad. It was really annoying. I was down for the last two of this thing and it didn't happen. And this one told me that literally see me on set and I did. And then the agent doesn't really get what I'm doing. I tried to get him to come along, he didn't. And Keith Allen went, Paul, let's start again, shall we? Because nobody wants to hear that, right? They think it's catching. It's like a bad smell in the room. And it might assuage your guilt or your mood for a second, but no, let's try again. He went, how are you? Paul went, yeah, not too bad. I said, that's better. And I often think that's right. No one wants to see you bringing your shit into the audition. I think I probably did that a few times.
I think Keith Allen is 100% correct.
You're absolutely no one wants to hear it.
And we all know those people they call like energy. That's the phrase, isn't it, in self-help? Energy vampires.
That's right.
Now, I'm not saying that we all go, yeah, amazing.
No.
But I do think that the stories that we tell and the language that we use plays a big part in our mental health.
I think so, because
Yeah.
I'm always hearing that. Don't criticize yourself the whole time. Don't be calling yourself a see you next Tuesday or whatever. It doesn't, because it somehow goes in here and it reduces.
It's a fine line between self-deprecation and self-hatred. That's the thing.
That's right.
And we're all treading that fine line. Now, hang on. You've acted with one of the great actors of the past 20, 30 years. You were in My Week with Marilyn. I think Michelle Williams. Even the thing with Michelle Williams in Dawson's Creek, you knew that's the one of everyone in this cast that's going to pop. Michelle Williams is the golden one. Did Branagh play a part in you getting there? How did that come about, and what was that like?
I played Gareth Coop, who was the DOP on The Prince and the Showgirl. Was it Gareth Coop?
Dennis.
Gareth Coop was his son.
Dennis Coop.
Dennis Coop. Gareth Coop was his son, who I spoke to on the phone. And Dennis Coop was the camera. Now, I'll be honest with you, I was there for quite a lot of the filming because there were lots of scenes of us all stood around in the studio. And Ken was Laurence Olivier.
That's right.
Uh, my one dialogue scene got cut, never mind. So it's slightly embarrassing to say I acted with her. I was in the studio when she was there. But that was another case of good old Ken, got me in to do that. So
I think I think it's important to give Kenneth his flowers. I think you're right. He went through a phase. There was a spitting image puppet, and he had the piss taken out of him for being a lovey. I actually think, for what it's worth, we're recording this in 2025. I think he now has acquired the icon legend status that he absolutely fucking deserves. When he won that Oscar, this is just in my, what do I know? From my vantage point, that to me felt like
vindication.
That is the word, vindication.
Well, yeah, and also he ain't a posh.
No.
He's from Belfast.
Oh, sorry. Can I just say, I just went, no, you're the person that told me that last week or whenever it was. I didn't know that.
And, I was with him last week at Spurs, and it was so lovely. We were talking about, I was trying to lose weight. I'm trying to lose weight for my tour. And we were talking about that. And it was very normal. He had been saying, oh, he had a Magnum ice cream over the weekend, and he shouldn't have had it. And it was just like chatting to a mate. He's a knight of the realm, this bloke. And he had one extra Yorkshire pudding or something. And I just thought, he's a great, lovely, normal bloke. He didn't swan in with a fedora and a cigarette holder. He's a really lovely, normal bloke.
What was, I know we need to wrap up. What was Thick of It like? Because I mean the Capaldi performance in Thick of It surely stands alongside Cleese's Basil Fawlty. You name any of the great sitcom performances that you like. Yeah. And I passionately put Capaldi up there. What was that experience like? How much is improvised? How much was scripted for you, Alex?
I think it was a script, but I think we were sort of loose with it. We went on and off the script, but yeah, it was great. And I agree with you. Fantastic part. And that was the name of the show I couldn't remember with Joe Scanlon. Joe Scanlon was in that, which is why it's incredible now, after all these years, I see her and work with her on things like The Thick of It. And she was my old lecturer at 22 years old at Leicester Polytechnic. So I think this is the thing that I have noticed, that somehow if you hang around long enough, I suppose in any walk of life, as you get older, and I'm aware I'm very much older than you two, somehow things come round and they have a way of resolving themselves. And you go, I don't know why I was so uptight, or, it's kind of, I think the Proclaimers got that song called Like Comedy. And you spend a lot of your life looking at it like everything like it's a tragedy. And when you look back, you have to laugh because it looks more and more and more like comedy.
Oh, the Woody Allen movies, Melinda and Melinda. I think that's my gran. I think she saw life as a comedy, and I'm with her completely, because if you view it as a tragedy, I think you can go mad. If you've not seen that film, check it out. I think the concept might be better than the actual movie, but I agree with you there.
Yeah. Well, look, I've got to go, I think. I'm really sorry about that.
Can I ask you one quick last one? I'm sorry for pushing my luck here. You've also appeared in, for many, one of the great comedies ever, Peep Show. What was the Peep Show experience like?
That was really great. I played a sort of new age wellness guru. Lovely to be with those two. I knew them when they first started, when we did Fun at the Funeral Parlour for BBC Three. And so I felt quite relaxed with them, honoured to be in that thing. And it's one of those sitcoms now where my son and his young early 20-something friends say, God, was your dad in Peep Show? So it's one of those classics. So I'm delighted to have had a tiny part in that.
Well, and very finally, I'm so glad you did Detectorists with Mackenzie Crook, who obviously did end up playing Gareth Keenan. How was that? I'm really speeding through.
I stabbed him in the back. No. Yeah, it was really lovely. And he's another one who I used to know in the old days. I met him through Ian Lee, and I think we did a comedy workshop once, me and Mackenzie. I met him at Ian Lee's funeral. So he was another sort of friendly face. And it's funny when you're a jobbing actor, it is really lovely to meet up with people. I do spend, and you'll know this, James, spend so much time on your own as a comedian. It is really lovely when you turn up and you see friendly faces and people you know. Because the rest of the time you're spent in a car and motorway service stations.
What was Ian Lee's funeral? Did he hosted his own funeral?
What did I say? Funeral?
You did. I was picked up on that as well, and I thought that must be a TV show or something.
Okay. Please change that. It was his wedding.
Because I thought, what an abstract thing for Ian Lee to do. Thank you for coming to my funeral today.
Hold on.
That must be some Channel 4 show from 2002.
In all honesty, I'm dealing with so many old people in my life at the moment. That's what I'm experiencing a lot at the moment. So that was on the tip of my tongue. I do beg your pardon, Ian. I'm so sorry. I meant wedding.
Look, Alex, we can say this now, my friend. In many ways with you, it's like, and thanks to Clinton, it's almost like you're just getting started. What a life, what a career, what a man you are. But how exciting the future is, dude.
I bloody hope so. I really hope so. And thank you for all your support. You two have been really great with me over the years. And I'm coming back to your club.
Go see Clinton. Go see Barry from Watford next year.
Yeah, I am looking.
Ticket sales. That's two.
Alex, look at me in the whites of my. That's one from the previous episode at the PTA. Alex, that was really great. Thank you so much. Wonderful.
Lots of love.
So good. Cheers, dude.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
Alex. See you soon.